Meanwhile, the row over Donald Trump's travel restrictions spilled across the Atlantic, with members of the European Parliament getting embroiled in a heated debate on the issue.
I'm sure that it's a great shock to you to see that a genuinely elected Democrat is doing what he was put in to do.
No, it is not because he is elected that he can go against human values and the values of the United States of America. It's about, fueling populism and nationalism for the moment, what the Trump administration is doing.
Every time you dismiss them as racist or populists, this simply demonstrates an inability to offer a credible alternative.
A travel ban can maybe give a temporary illusion of addressing the issue, but it can only create more frustration and anger. We need cooperation.
Trump is motivated by protecting the United States of America from Islamic terrorism, whereas what has happened in this room and in governments around Europe is you have welcomed these people into your own homes.
While Nigel Farage was speaking in support of Donald Trump, another British MEP was holding a piece of paper with the words, "He's lying to you," behind him. Seb Dance later justified the move due to, quote, the lack of challenge to populism. He was approached twice with a request to put the sign down, but still managed to keep it up until the end of Farage's speech. Now, the European Council President, Donald Tusk, has gone a step further and pushed back against Donald Trump, branding his administration, quote, an existential threat to the bloc, along with Russia, China, and, finally, radical Islam. Our correspondents gauge reaction on the streets of London and Paris.
Which of these countries do you think are a threat to Europe?
Russia.
To Europe, so not the United Kingdom.
Europe, yes.
To Europe as a whole. You could say the United States to Europe at the moment.
Well, what do you think about Donald Tusk saying that the U.S. is now basically, along with Russia, China, and radical Islam, in terms of threats to the European Union?
It was always assumed that the United States would be very much on the side of Europe as it has been through NATO and the rest of it. So, yes, it is surprising.
I don't like Trump, but I don't think the United States is a threat. He's a little bit crazy, so to speak. He's not well behaved.
Seeing the news lately, I think everybody's overreacting a little bit. I think the biggest threat for Europe is Europe itself.
Well, my colleague Charlotte Dubensky is in Paris, and she also went to find out what people make of Tusk's message. We can't deny that what she found came as a bit of a surprise.
In fact, the sentiment here in Paris, France, is strikingly different to that in London. With Donald Trump in the White House, Washington, it seems, is falling out of favour with folk here in Europe, and they are becoming increasingly more wary of the Trump administration. But don't just take my word for it.
I think it's the United States, of course.
Why America?
Donald Trump. Donald Trump?
Because you don't know how he wants to manage his politics.
Probably Russia. There.
Anything else?
Well, maybe the U.S. right now, since Trump.
Since Trump, right. Oh, he definitely is a threat.
Yeah.
Because of all the things that he says. And I don't know how he wants to make them true, but I don't know, he'll figure out a way.
Now that Donald Trump is in charge, maybe it could be a big threat.
This is, of course, not a scientific poll, but you can't ignore the unity and strength of opinions of all the people we questioned here. Now, it seems that while conflict is back in vogue in Europe, with Europeans in France and across other countries in continental Europe looking across the Atlantic with some caution, some skepticism, it seems across the English Channel, Brits are leaning more towards the opinion that the threat to the EU lies within the EU's own borders.